I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Hello everybody, this is PurplePittoo. Today, I'm here with you in the real world, because I've figured out how to exist on this plane, and now I'm coming for you. But in the meantime, I've decided to go back to this folder. What is it? You see, you may or may not have seen from my last and terrible video that I love Super Smash Bros. It came out when I was about 10 years old, and that means that since then, my art has improved to a variable degree, but it was originally very bad. So I'm going to look back into this folder, and what's in it is I tried to draw every single Smash Bros. Character in order. I obviously did not get there. I think my last one was Olimar, but we're going to look in here, and I just want to react to what's in here because today what we're doing is we're going to draw every single Super Smash Bros. Character. Well, no, we're going to be doing that in parts of 3 if I have the resolve or motive to continue beyond the first video, which likely won't happen, but I wanted to start by just taking a look at what I did all those years ago. All of this is directly referenced off of existing corporate art, of course, because I have no sense of originality, as you may have seen. Wow, look at that. Look at his face. I'm gonna bring that up to the camera. What on earth is this? His hair does not even go to where the edge of his head should be. I have no understanding of how that's supposed to work. That's beautiful. I have a sneaking suspicion I might have used fan art like once when I did this. That's hilarious. His head is just a rectangle. He's become a Funko Pop. Oh my goodness, Luigi. Luigi here is, oh, he's wonderful. Look how small that chin is. It barely goes down to his lip. And I know that's a part of the Mario art style, but like, with a closed face, it makes zero sense. There's barely enough room for his tiny little mouth there. Also, what is going on with whatever his head shape is? Once again, I have no regard for the shape of the head. I've just drawn all the lines to a degree. His ear is super long, goes way up above his eyebrows. His hat just smushes down and acts like there is no rest of the head under it. Look at his wide hand over here. It's just, look at that hand. What on earth is going on with Peach's arm right here? It looks like every single bone has just been destroyed. And in its place is a series of wet spaghetti noodles trying to imitate human form. And impasta. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Once again, zero concept of how large the character should be in relation to the canvas.
Hello! It's me, Super Mario on the PS4!
Ugh, that was awful, but whatever. Without further ado, it's time to get started drawing real stuff. We're gonna begin with Mario. There's not much to say about him. He's Mr. Video Game himself. Drawing him was quite simple, as his design has been a staple of video game culture worldwide, as well as my own childhood. I didn't even need a reference. In fact, I barely needed to look at the screen. As for his pose, some sort of combination between his iconic Jumpman pose that he's stuck with, even since the box art for the original game, as well as his mid-flight pose from the Mario 64 box art. I originally intended for his left arm to curl towards the viewer, as if he's about to pound them into the blast zone with his infamous forward air, well known as Mario's one outlet to express the surging anger he's repressed, having to deal with so many castles and so few princesses inside of them. Anyways, all jokes aside, it was difficult to picture once I began establishing the line art, so I just had Mario joyfully raising his fist instead. Mario's pose additionally reflects upon what I perceive as his best aspect of staying controlled while frenetically surmounting the chaos created by Bowser's army. His arms are held up high while his legs submit to the forces pulling him across the air. Artistic mumbo-jumbo aside, I just like his vibrant colors, which I sampled directly from an official render, which was the only reason I kept it there outside of further establishing Mario's proportions. I shaded him with tones of red to match his iconic shirt, then finished shortly after tampering with a ghoul background, all under 2 hours. There he is, in his happy-go-lucky glory and all.
Hello, Mr. Kong. I am here to... We are now going to send a cop to arrest Mr. Kong for this transgression. Here is no, not again.
Alright then, on to Donkey Kong. As with Mario, I wanted to convey the Donkey Kong that I always thought of after hearing the name, which for me is the crazy, goofy DK that I was glad to see semi-rekindled in the Mario movie, but I largely drew upon the wild gestures and emotions that he would display on the SNES, which is why I used Diddy Kong's reaction to seeing a boss in the sequel as one of my references. I struggled to get Donkey Kong's eyes just right, so I decided to create pupils separately before adding them back to his eyeballs later. It did take me a bit of a while to blend the two colors of his eyes correctly, but I got it after a few minutes. It was more fun than challenging. Donkey Kong's shading also took me a surprisingly long time as a result of using it to convey his hairiness rather than doing so by cluttering alignment. I think it really paid off, as his hair looks to me like a very defined and perceivable detail, but still looks cartoony, unlike the creepy hair that they gave Mario in Odyssey. His darker shading uses red, but his highlights are yellow-based, which I decided upon after seeing the same effect in some of his post-Rareware era promotional art. Both colors also go really well with the largely orange-based brown used for his fur. There really wasn't much else to this ridiculous ape, other than I must say that I've learned the hard way not to add too much detail to fingernails. Here's some of my old art. Donkey Kong took me a few more minutes than Mario, clocking at around 2 hours and 15 minutes. Link. The first thing you might notice about him is that I didn't begin sketching digitally. Instead, I had already done the sketch on paper a night before and then imported it into Procreate later. This was done for 2 reasons. The first is that I was traveling and I didn't bring my tablet, but I did bring a notebook. The second is that I figured that because Link had a lot of details, he'd take a while longer, so if the sketch was pre-done, the length of Link's time-lapse would be closer to that of Mario and Donkey Kong. I was sorely mistaken, for Link took 6.5 hours, over 3 times as long as his predecessors. All this length made me want to complain about unnecessary details of his design, but the more I focused on it, the more I realized that much of his bells and whistles were just natural conclusions to the original Link design. Now, his garments have patterns and his belts have buckles. A lot of buckles. There were so many details, I have no doubt that I got some of them wrong. So, Zelda superfans in the comments, if you will, tell me how. Even once I was in the final stages of Link's drawing, I'd be looking back at the reference and, oh shoot, he has an earring? Since when did he have an earring? There was so much to add that, geez, I haven't even discussed Link's pose yet. I made Link fall through the air with his leg extended in a fierce kick. This references how, despite how everyone likes to fixate on Link's special attacks in Smash Bros. Being filled with projectiles, were his smash attacks, which wield his mighty sword, I like his aerials, which almost always use his legs to attack. Not only do they feel extremely fun to land, but people don't always think about how strong Link can be without his weapons. Don't get me wrong, he's still holding his sword and shield, but I didn't add his sheathed bow or quiver because I didn't want the piece to get too cluttered, but mainly because whenever I drew the sketch with the items on Link's back, you could barely see them behind his torso. Anyways, outside of all these details, there really wasn't much else to Link. I shaded him with tones of greenish blue, and then finished after that, clocking in at a previously mentioned 6 hours and 25 minutes.
Yo, I just got these new steel-toed boots. I don't really know how much I'm gonna wear them, but I might just wear them so I don't stub my toe, but I also...
Bonus, bonus, bonus! Here's an extra drawing that I made while I was working on this video. Stemming from a burst of inspiration which I got after watching a random YouTube video essay, I wanted to draw my original character, Star. For those of you who haven't heard, she starred in my comic book series, which I kind of gave up since having made the drawings for this video. But I did have a lot of fun making it, and at this point I hadn't fully considered dropping the project as I had been moving along for the past months. When I began drawing Star here, I took a decent amount of time on the sketch because I really wanted her to have the extreme exaggerated muscles that you see in comic books. I even had a real graphic novel by my side as I drew. Why would I give Star such crazy muscles when they don't make sense on a robot or a woman? Because I felt like it. What did you expect? It looks cool. That's really the whole point of me doing anything with Star. If it's not cool, what's the point? If you look at my old comics, you can see that I don't care that it's childish, stupid, and weird. It just needs to be fun. Speaking of dumb, awesome stuff, the shading on Star is oddly vibrant, and it's not really shade at all. I wanted it to look like she's in front of an ominous light, almost like she's about to violently dismantle another Pico drone. No, not that Pico, which is why I ultimately chose a bombastic vermilion. It's also the reason I gave her the expression I did. I call it the "I'm about to toss you around and dent you because I feel like it" stare. Lastly, I added a background to mimic the setting of Star Online's first issue, as well as a foreground to add more atmosphere. What do you guys think? Feel free to savagely slander me and my art in the comments section down below. Also, I'm not opposed to drawing these Smash characters out of order, considering I'll likely never finish this series. But, in conclusion, thank you for making it to the end of this video. And remember, Jesus loves you. New Jersey is known for being the world's largest producer of eggplants, making it officially the most useless place ever. Goodbye.